Have you ever thought about what the greatest power in the world is? It's not money, it's not fame, and it's certainly not authority. It's something much, much simpler. Something we all have inside us. It's love. And today, I want to share the incredible true story of a man who decided to wield this power in the most beautiful way. This is the story of Lee Shapiro, a retired judge who became known to everyone as the Hugging Judge. One day, Lee had a profound realization. Love is the most powerful force on earth. He felt an overwhelming urge to share this love, not with grand gestures, but through a simple, universal act. A hug. So, he created something truly special called the Hugger Kit. Picture this. A small kit filled with 30 little red hearts, each with a sticky bat. His rule was simple and brilliant. If you take one heart, you have to give a hug. He wasn't just giving away stickers, he was creating a currency of kindness, an exchange of warmth and human connection. He started sharing these hearts and hugs with everyone he met, spreading a quiet wave of love wherever he went. It wasn't long before word of the Hugging Judge started to spread. The local media became fascinated by this retired judge on a mission to hug the world. During a conference in San Francisco, a skeptical television reporter decided to challenge him. "Sure, it's easy to hug people here at a friendly conference," the reporter said, a smirk on his face. "But could you do this out there, in the real world? On the tough streets?" Lee, with his characteristic gentle smile, didn't hesitate. He simply accepted the challenge. He knew that love wasn't meant to be confined to safe spaces. Its true power is revealed when it breaks through the barriers of everyday life. The camera started rolling, and they headed out to see if Lee's hugs could truly stand the test of a cynical world. The film crew followed him onto the bustling sidewalks of San Francisco. Lee spotted a woman who seemed lost in her own thoughts. He walked up to her with a warm, open expression. "Hi," he said gently. "I am Lee Shapiro, the Hugging Judge. I'm giving out these hearts for hugs today." For a moment, she looked surprised, but then a genuine smile spread across her face. Without a word, she stepped forward and gave him a warm hug. The reporter let out a laugh. "That was too easy," he exclaimed. "She was probably having a good day. Try someone tougher. Someone who's really having a rough time." He was determined to prove that Lee's mission was a novelty, not a force for real change. But Lee wasn't fazed. Ahust smiled, ready for the next opportunity to share a little love. Just then, Lee's eyes landed on a tense scene down the street. A parking officer was being berated by an angry driver who was gesturing wildly over a ticket. The officer stood there stoically, absorbing the verbal assault. This was the tougher situation the reporter had asked for. Without a hint of hesitation, Lee walked right into the middle of the conflict. He approached the meter maid, looked her directly in the eyes with a compassionate smile, and said, "You look like you could really use a hug today." The officer, caught completely off guard, froze for a second, the anger and frustration on her face soft, melting away as she looked at this kind stranger. Then, she smiled, a real, heartfelt smile. She stepped forward and embraced him right there on the sidewalk. The angry driver fell silent, and the entire crew just watched, stunned. But the reporter wasn't done yet. He was still looking for the crack in Lee's armor of kindness. He pointed towards a city bus that had just pulled up to a stop. "All right, Judge," he challenged. "Let's see you hug that bus driver. Everyone knows they're the meanest people in town." This was the ultimate test, according to the reporter. Bus drivers have a tough, stressful job dealing with traffic, schedules, and countless passengers all day. Lee simply nodded and walked towards the open door of the bus. He looked up at the driver, a large, intimidating man who looked like he'd seen it all. "Sir?" Lee said calmly. "This must be a really stressful job. I'm offering hugs. Today, would you like one?" The driver, a towering 6'2" figure, stared down at the smaller, older man. There was a long, silent pause. The entire news crew held their breath. Then, something incredible happened. The driver's stern expression soft. He switched off the engine, stood up, and stepped out of the bus. A slow smile spread across his face as he said, "You know what? Why not?" And right there, on the busy street, the two men shared a genuine, powerful hug. The driver took a little red heart, stuck it on his dashboard, and got back on the bus with a lighter spirit. The news crew stood in absolute silence. Finally, the reporter just shook his head, a look of disbelief on his face. "I have to admit," he said, his voice full of respect, "I'm impressed. Lee's journey of love didn't stop on the streets of San Francisco." One day, his doorbell rang. It was his good friend, Nancy Jongston. Now, Nancy wasn't just any friend. She was a professional clown who dedicated her life to bringing joy to others. "Lee," she said with a bright smile, her eyes sparkling, "grab your hugger kits. We're going on an adventure." She told him their destination, a local home for the disabled. For the first time, Lee hesitated. He had hugged strangers, angry drivers, and stressed-out city workers, but he had never shared his hugs with people who were terminally ill or severely disabled. He was afraid of their pain, afraid of not knowing what to do, afraid a simple act wouldn't be enough. Nancy saw the hesitation in his eyes. She placed a comforting hand on his arm and said with unwavering conviction, "Come on, Lee. Love belongs to everyone, especially to those who might feel forgotten." Her words cut through his fear. She was right. Love knows no boundaries. With renewed purpose, Lee and Nancy arrived at the home for the disabled, their arms full of hugger kits and balloon-making supplies. As they walked through the halls, they began their work. Nancy, in her full clown attire, twisted colorful balloons into whimsical hats and animals, her laughter echoing through the quiet corridors. Lee followed close behind, offering his gentle smile, his little red hearts, and his warm, unconditional hugs. At first, the atmosphere was somber, but slowly, miraculously, it began to change. A patient who hadn't spoken in weeks let out a small chuckle. Another, confined to her bed, reached out a hand. Soon, the entire ward was filled with an energy it hadn't felt in years. Laughter and joy bounced off the sterile walls. The transformation was so infectious that even the doctors and nurses, drawn by the commotion, joined in. They followed Lee and Nancy from room to room, each of them soon wearing a colorful balloon hat and a small red heart on their uniform. Their professional composure replaced with bright, genuine smiles. They went from room to room, leaving a trail of joy and connection in their wake. Finally, they reached the very last room in the ward. Inside, there were 34 patients, and in the corner, by himself, was a man named Leonard. Leonard was sitting in a wheelchair, his head slumped to one side. A white bib was tied around his neck, and he was drooling, seemingly unaware of the world around him. Lee looked at Nancy, his heart sinking. He whispered, "Nancy, there's no way we can reach him. He's gone." He felt his earlier fear returning, but Nancy's belief was unshakable. She looked at Lee, her gaze firm but full of compassion, and said words he would never forget. "Lee, he's a human being too." Her words were a powerful reminder that beneath any condition, any illness, there is a soul deserving of dignity and love. Nancy walked over to Leonard. With the same care she'd shown everyone else, she gently placed a brightly colored balloon hat on his head. Its cheerful absurdity was a stark contrast to the scene. Then, it was Lee's turn. He took a deep breath, walked over, and carefully peeled a small red heart from its backing. He gently placed it on the front of Leonard's white bib. Then, he leaned in and gave Leonard a soft, gentle hug. He didn't expect a reaction. He just wanted to offer a moment of human warmth. But then, something happened. A sound came from Leonard, a low, guttural noise. A. And then he saw it. The corners of Leonard's mouth began to twitch, and then, slowly, impossibly, they pulled upwards into a wide, beautiful smile. The room fell silent, except for the sound of quiet sobs. The nurses and staff members who had gathered at the door began to cry. Lee looked around, confused. "What's happening?" he asked. his voice trembling. The head nurse, tears streaming down her face, looked at him and said, "This is the first time in 23 years we have ever seen Leonard smile." In that one moment, everything became clear. The reporter's challenge, his own initial fear, the laughter in the halls, it all led to this: a single, simple act of kindness. A gentle hug given without expectation had broken through a 23-year wall of silence and isolation. It had reached a human being that everyone else thought was unreachable. That day, Lee Shapiro learned the most powerful lesson of his life. You don't need to change the entire world to make a difference. A small act of kindness, a simple hug, can change a person's entire world. It can heal a heart, spark a smile, and remind someone that they are seen, that they are valued, and that they are loved. As Lee himself would often say, with a twinkle in his eye, "Don't bug me, hug me." His legacy reminds us that we all have this power within us. The power to connect, to heal, and to love, one hug at a time. Thank you so much for watching and for letting us share this incredible story with you. If it touched your heart, please consider giving this video a like and sharing it with someone who might need a reminder of the power of kindness. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories. Until next time, take care and maybe share a hug.